When I first moved to Seattle, I talked to lots of nonprofits and asked, what is the unmet need in this city? I discovered that Seattle has great housing providers. What was most needed was this ongoing supportive community for people who struggle with both mental health challenges and addiction. Without that, people will relapse and they'll be back on the street.
My drug use started real early, 5th grade, so. And yeah, it's around the time some of the abuse had happened. I had anxiety, depression, PTSD.
When he first came in the door, he was like a lost soul. You could see the anxiety and the wariness and the guardedness.
I started hearing voices. And my sisters would be like, Shelly, Shelly, and I'd be like, huh, what? Like I was just in my own world. Bipolar with recurring psychotic feature. So I would do this catch-22 game where I would be like, do drugs for a while, then take my meds, and the voice would kind of go away, and then do drugs. I was hospitalized 9 times in 2003.
Every member is a part of a small circle that meets once a week. It's an opportunity to be known by others in a consistent way that makes possible meaningful support.
For people who need to take their medication for their mental health, the consequences are so dramatic for people who go off those meds that we can just arrest that right there and hold them with support and love.
The recovery circles are a place to practice their new life skills, and that is giving feedback, receiving feedback, and have better relationships.
When I was gone for a couple months, she called me one day and she says, "Where have you been?" I said, "I broke my hip." So she came and got me and brought me down to the Recovery Cafe, and everybody was so glad to see me.
The Recovery Cafe is one of the few places that I feel like I belong. I was dying when I first started getting high.
The thing that I remember more specifically is my dad leaving the house and throwing a bread bag full of pot on the table and telling us to be good.
I was brought up around a lot of violence, so I was scared most of the time, and it calmed that. I need to learn how to turn this story that I got around to where I can make a positive out of it instead of a negative. Let somebody else know, that they've had similar experiences, that I felt the same feelings that they felt.
People didn't want to invite me to their house anymore. And the people who were able to control their drinking didn't want to invite me to their house. And then after I got sober, the people who drank didn't want to invite me to their house.
Paper mache doesn't stop.
So out of this Recovery Cafe community, what has evolved is the School for Recovery. They're asking for more tools.
Teach us about daily living, teach us about communication, teach us how to manage our money again.
2 years ago, her payee asked me if I'd do housework for her. I did the housework on that for a while, but we decided we wanted to do school and do some other stuff, so someone else can do the housework because we're going to go to school.
Recovery is not just about going to a 12-step meeting. Recovery is about discovering things in ourselves, building the relationships that students build with each other, with teachers, of saying there are commitments that I have made to this program, both in terms of being in classes, in terms of community service, 4 days a week for 36 weeks. Every year when we have the graduation ceremony from the transformation program, they say over and over again, this program saved my life.
In the transformation school, that's where I began learning self-care. Because I had gotten sober before, and I relapsed when the domestic abuse came out at me. I had no coping skills. In those classes, I was able to really take a look at myself.
never thought I would ever have a relationship with my son again. And he called me up about a year ago. And he said, Dad, all I want to say is that I'm proud of you. And that to me, that's what drives me.
This was the first day that I had seen them in approximately 8 months. The kid-friendliest place to have the boys was at the Recovery Cafe. We're bonded again, and not a lot of alcoholic moms get to see that again. And I'm very blessed.
4 o'clock meeting in the beginning, then I took over service work. I have a job, I have a family, I have my family back, but I also have a bigger family, okay? I'm the brother they didn't know about until I showed up.
I couldn't even be around people when I first came to the cafe. I was so social phobic because of when I was doing my drugs. I did it by myself. The Recovery Cafe has been so crucial in my socialization. In School of Transformation, I'm doing yoga, all the support when I needed legal help. They pointed me in the right direction. When I needed some emergency help in other ways, they were there for me.
I can get Judy over to the library for the blind.
Do you want me to take her?
To the library?
Yeah, I know where it's
That'd
at.
be cool because that's where we might want to do some volunteer work this year.
Still
voted for my doctor.
You're going to start coming to yoga.
Right.
Namaste, great. I'm glad you're coming.
Come on, love one another. Help your sister, help your brother. It don't even matter where you're from. Can't you see that we're all one? From the executive in the high rise to the man down in the street. If you wanna make a difference now, then move your hands and move your feet. Well, we all can do something to make the world a better place. Love one another. Show somebody that you care. Go ahead and love one another. Let your love shine everywhere. Yeah. Come on. No one is an island. That's not what we're supposed to be. We're meant to lean on each other and live together in harmony. Come on, everybody. The future is in our hands, yeah. Love one another.
Besides being a filmmaker, I'm also a physician at the Pike Market Medical Clinic, where a lot of my patients have severe mental illness and addiction issues. And before being asked to do this film for the Recovery Cafe, I had never heard of it. But then I started filming at the cafe, and I was blown away by this incredibly comprehensive approach toward treating addiction and the mental health challenges that often underlie addiction. Giving people the opportunity for connections with others and a sense of purpose is so valuable because so many people I see don't have that. And finally, I have a place to refer people to get that.
Brings out the best in you, hey, and it's coming to